before you came to Sichuan Conservatory of Music, there was no jazz department, right?
Right.
So how did you feel Chengdu's music atmosphere at that time?
The atmosphere was nothing like it was today. I mean, there were no jazz clubs. Now we have 4 jazz clubs and a huge audience that is really interested in jazz music. And there were a lot of people who were here before me who laid the foundation for me to be successful here. And now I'm part of that team at the Conservatory, laying the foundation for the next generation, which is our students, to be successful in the jazz scene. And I'm very proud of them and very happy for them. And my students are, I ask them to help me with something, or I ask them to do some performance with me, and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I already have another performance." So that makes me feel like it's very funny, but I also feel quite happy about that, because it means that they can find success.
So that was 7 years ago, right?
I started 7 years ago, yeah.
Are there any changes from your side during these years?
A lot of changes, a lot of changes. And that's kind of what the album is about.
Vicissitudes is about the inevitable changes of life. Every song is about changes, from sorrow to joy, from challenges to experience new growth, from disappointment and emotional pain, come bravery and spiritual maturity.
January, I went back home to Los Angeles, as I do every year, to visit my family and to participate in the Los Angeles Instrument Convention. I have a lot of friends there, a lot of connections. 2 days after I got there, the COVID news broke out. It was a very uncertain period, and I ended up getting stuck there for 10 weeks. And during those 10 weeks, I didn't know what I was going to do or where I was going to go. I was, depressed a lot. I was trying to make the most of my situation by practicing, and I wrote some other parts of the album at that time. And then when I was able to come back, America started getting the virus. Then I called my boss and I asked him, please let me come back. I'm sure if I don't come back now, the border's going to close. And I was right, because 3 days after I arrived, the border closed. When I was on the way back to China at the airport, I saw all the people wearing masks, and some of them in the full suits. And just people very nervous and scared and anxious. And the melody of Limbo came to me at that time. It was like just this simple, haunting melody. And I tried to just capture that feeling of the anxiety through the harmony that I created for that melody. So the melody is just like a pentatonic scale, and something that even a Chinese flute would play.
So actually, you have many parts of doing the musical things. You're teaching the music, right? And you do the performance of the music. And you're creating the music, right? The music album. And also you're leading music bands. So actually, these are the 4 parts of your life. And how would you describe them? So which part is in your life that their meaning for you?
So when I was a young man in Los Angeles, there was a composer who was a great influence on me. His name was Ron Grant. And he told me that the modern musician needs to be a Renaissance man. Renaissance man is a person who can do many different things. It's in this contemporary time, it's not enough to just be a musician or to just be a teacher or to just be a composer. And not only do I do all those 4 things that you mentioned, but I also do lectures on jazz music. People invite me to talk about it. And I also do my own promotion. Then I was doing all this band leading and all this organizing and all this promoting and writing the music, arranging the music, promotion, rehearsal. And I got very exhausted from that. It was exhausting. It was a lot of pressure. And to maybe about 2.5 years ago, take a step back and tell my bandmates that I don't want to lead anymore. I want to focus on my own development. I want to focus on my own creative process. Especially after COVID, I finally had a chance to stop. And I was always, it's funny how life works, because I was so busy and I was so stressed out and I was so exhausted, and I would sit in my bed late at night, tired, exhausted, but also so high from the performances and excitement that I couldn't fall asleep. And I thought to myself, I wish I had a time to just stop and practice more, read more books, meditate, things like that. And COVID happened and my wish came true. So you have to be careful what you wish for. But from that came a lot of good because it gave me time to focus, to think, to reflect, to relax, to explore. You take those states and those times when you had some emotional pain or struggle or whatever it is, and you transform it into art. And then that art communicates to other people. And they go, oh, I know that. I can feel that. I've felt that before.
Yes, yes.
And that's the point.
Yes, that's the condition. Yes.
And then they feel that they're not the only ones.
Yes.
And they have something that soothes them, that makes them feel that's okay.
Do you have some, philosophy or spirit that you got from music or jazz? Because last time when I heard your video, you mentioned that when you are doing the perform, actually you have a feeling of it in the eye of the hurricane. Meaning that everyone, maybe many things happen to a storm around you, but you can be very still and you have be centered.
I've been interested in Eastern philosophy and Buddhism and Taoism and meditation since I was 17 years old. So that's something that it's a part of my life, it's a part of my practice, it's a part of my outlook and how I operate in this world. And I'm not the only one. John Coltrane in the 1960s was, started to have this idea of music as a spiritual practice. I visited the John Coltrane Church in the summer of 2019 with my friends. So there's people who, really love his music, that they feel that his music takes them to a spiritual plane or gives them some sort of spiritual comfort or nourishment. And so I think that is a really powerful idea, and it's really not that unique. I mean, if you look at any culture in the world, they all have some sort of spiritual practice or spiritual idea. The idea that we're connected with the universe, the idea that we're connected with nature, the idea that we're connected with our ancestors. And always in these, there's a connection with music. Every religion, every culture, they have something. There's a very interesting book about that called The Spell of the Sensuous. And in it, the writer describes all these indigenous cultures and their kind of belief in whatever supernatural, and then she goes on and talks about the connection with music, and the connection with music is about the connection with the air. When you speak, when you breathe, when you play an instrument, your breath is kind of the vessel of communication for the spiritual world, or your spiritual self, or your emotional self, your soul is coming out. And a lot of languages actually have the same word for spirit or soul. They have the same word for air, and including Chinese, it's qi, right? And in Hebrew, it's neshama. So neshama means soul, but it also means the breath. This is the idea that when we play music or when we speak, we are expressing our spiritual self.
Because we are all on the stage of our own lives, so we are all in the storm sometimes, or in a kind of life storm things. So maybe we also need to find a kind of still feeling, the idle hurricane feeling when we are in a kind of something happening like on stage.
Yeah, that's the meditation practice part. One part is like, let's say, the connection of music to life, the connection of music to spirit. The other part is like the spiritual practice. That means meditation. That means making yourself still. It doesn't have to be and breathe and remember who you are and what your what the center of your life is. The center of your life is your breath.
You're always going to be able to get better and keep climbing the mountain. There is no top. There is no, I know everything, okay, I can stop learning now. It's an ongoing process where you're continually learning, you're continually getting better, you're continually climbing the mountain.
For me, it's a big challenge and really nice experience. So we need to, really get into that music and make happen the magic, but also it's something new. So we need to create. So this big challenge really put us more close like a family, more close like musician, and get, how to say, maybe more into the love of the jazz.
Last time you mentioned that you devoted 100 hours to a single song, right? To maybe practice a little tiny problems to fix it, to be perfect. So what's your feeling at that time? Is that a kind of repetitive work which is very boring and tired, needs a lot of patience?
This is Judy Polgar. She's a chess champion. She's the most famous and most successful female chess player. And she does she has a TED Talk. You can check it out. It's very interesting. But she says the 3 pillars of success are practice, passion, perseverance. And so I put that up on my wall to remind me every day. And these are sort of like technical things that I give myself to work on every day to change. But it's like a cycle, right? So I'm cycling through the same things over and over every day. And then over there on that wall, I have like a schedule. And then I have some songs that I do like a checklist of songs that I memorize. So it's like about, you have to make your practice to be something that is regimented and consistent, and that you also feel that you're making progress. You have to give yourself some kind of, and you need variety too. So that's why I do Monday, I do this, Tuesday, I do this. And it's about repeating. So even the songs that I memorize, I pick a day and I go through them again to make sure that I'm always reviewing. It never ends, the learning and the improvement.
Maintain the peak performance during this long period. You how to just balance it to make sure that you always have a very good kind of working state.
You don't worry about having a good working state. You just do it.
Just do it.
Like the Nike, just do it. If you have a bad day, practice. If you have a good day, practice. If you have a bad mood, practice. If you have a great mood, practice. Doesn't matter what's going on. That's just always, you make that a habit, and you try your best to, of course you have bad days where you're not successful. You didn't practice, or you didn't practice enough, forgive yourself. Next day, do it again. You can't get lost in this, beating yourself up that you had a bad practice day. You can't get, down on yourself about you didn't practice today, and you feel bad about yourself, and all these things are useless for improvement. Of course, I also deal with that struggle, and I feel terrible today and whatever. But it's the people who are able to just say, okay, today I'm going to have a bad practice day. I'm going to sound terrible. Everything's going to be terrible. And I just let it, because that is part of the process, and it's continuing the habit, and the habit is more important than the results. The process is more important than whatever is happening in that moment. It's about all the moments building up together.
Do you have any things to say to people maybe who are now experiencing the lockdown or the down period of their time? Do you have anything to share with them?
I would say, don't give up. Keep going. No matter what is happening in your life, you can always find some strength from wherever you need it, from your spiritual world, from your family, from things that inspire you, art, music, dancing, movies, beauty, nature, your pet dog or cat, whatever you need, you can find the source of inspiration for that, and purpose for living, and a reason to try and make your dreams come true and make your goals come true.
Everything must change. No one stays the same. Everyone will change. No one remains.
那今天我们的任务是采访宋老师，然后挖出来所有的这个音乐、跟人文、跟生活、跟疫情的背景下，还有。
'Cause there's a weight of time.